Okay, well, good evening. Welcome to the June meeting of the Parish Council. In tonight's meeting, we've got the usual reports from the Clerk and Ward Councillors, so we don't have a Ward Councillor at the moment. An update on the Clubhouse project, an update on the public art meetings. We've got two planning applications this month, a listed building consent for works at the Coach House, which is number 4 Lodge Farm Court, and an application for an industrial building at Lodge Farm Business Centre. Tonight's resolutions, we've got one on adopting financial regulations, which is going to be deferred as we're waiting for advice from our county association. A resolution to write to Network Rail about nighttime noise. To set a financial strategy, which sounds very grand, but it's really just to formalise our bank and deposit accounts into a policy as recommended by the internal auditor. There's a resolution to approve decoration of the clubhouse, but that won't be required because Hickfords very generously have offered to do it as a community donation to the village, which is, and just to say this up front, you know, the cost of that was £4,000, so it's a not insignificant contribution that Hickfords are making.
I think tribute, full respect to Luke for negotiating.
Yes, Luke Jeffries negotiated that. However, I will use that item to go through the clubhouse project future finances in a bit more detail, so you all understand where we're going on this. Really, it's a precursor to the next item, which is to appoint a consultant to help with a grant application for with BIFFA. Then we have to consider the annual internal auditor's report and approve the annual return, which is a statutory obligation. That's our financial report, says where we've spent all the money in the last year, and then it will be published on the notice board and on the website. There is a part 2, which will not be live streamed, but the decisions will be published. There are 2 items on the agenda. One is to decide or not on a new electricity supplier for the village hall, and the second one to choose a supplier of flooring for the new clubhouse. The next meeting will be the 1st of July. There's normally no meeting in August, so the following meeting will be the 2nd of September. Now, I would mention that at the July meeting, there will be a resolution to respond to a traffic road order to make all the roads between Havisham, Castlethorpe and Hanslope subject to a 50-mile-an-hour limit. If you have a view on this, I would ask you to either attend the meeting and express that view, or speak to a councillor or the clerk and let us know. I mean, whether you're in favour or whether you feel it's unnecessary. And finally, as part of a national event, a beacon will be lit in Castlefield on Thursday, the 6th of June at 9:15 p.m. But that is the only event that evening. There's no other commemoration. So, with that done, are there any questions? Tony, did you have anything in the open forum?
Not really. The patio road up quite nicely up Navy Hill. What they're doing with yours, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, nothing.
Okay, thank you. Right, let's move into the parish council meeting. Apologies for absence from Ian Markham. Work for reasons of work. Okay. Declarations of interest by councillors. Can I just make a general point that Russell, Steve and I are all part of the Clubhouse project. Indeed, we are actually directors of the Community Space CIC, which is the company that's been set up. Now, there are items that will appear on tonight's agenda which do overlap. I think the interests are personal. There's no individual, profit that we're going to take out of this, and it becomes very artificial if, when we're just briefing you on things, we're going to have to leave the room to leave someone else to do it. So if that's acceptable, we'd like to continue. Fortunately, if you don't agree with me, you are just about for it to have this. But there we go. Right, if there are no other matters of interest, agreeing the minutes of the previous meeting of the 13th of May. Are there any corrections that anyone would like to see made? In that case, can I have a proposer, please, which is Steve, and a seconder, which is Darren, and all in favour, which is you weren't there. Steve, Dave, you were
I was there.
there? Unanimous.
I was there.
Very good. You. So let's move on to the clerk report. I'll see if I can actually share
There's
this.
not many changes because the meeting
Yeah.
isn't.
Share the screen. Sharing the wrong one there. Hang on. There we go. Go away. So, on my screen, I can't share it basically. Just stop the share. Right. Are there any questions on the clerk's report? Let's just go through it. Right. John, can I just? Anything in section 1 to 9?
I am number 5, the village shop extension. I noticed on Facebook today that they've gone out, going out to tender for the work.
Yeah. Yes. Peter Clark is now the company secretary for that, and he starts to put that out. So it's good.
Just for 7, I'm not getting much response at work from anybody in regards to that, strangely enough. Do you want me to keep trying different
Well,
avenues?
you may as well keep trying, but yeah.
Unfortunately, so. Everything seems to go quiet when you're just feeling. It's top secret, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. And we don't know about number 8, the floodlights.
No, one was supposed to be, wasn't it?
Yeah, we could really do with that actually. Items we carried forward. Now, just running through all of this, and then we come to the highways. I mean, the highways, have you got a call now with?
No, because it's while I'm on holiday,
Oh,
so I'm going to just email and ask for a written response.
I think so, yeah. I mean, what's happened here is that highways have not been having their monthly meetings with clerks. We've really not been getting very much feedback. They now instigated it, and Jackie was going to take our list to that meeting, but as you heard Jackie just say, it's while she's away on annual holiday. So we'll have to pick it up. What is worse is that there was a very helpful new lady called Nicolina Cooper, who came in like a breath of fresh air into highways, and she presented at the Melk meeting and thought, oh, that's really good. I must get her to come to Castlethorpe, because I know Richard Pryor has got her to come to Havisham. But I was just so busy with the Clubhouse, I couldn't do it straight away. And then when I got round to it about a week or so ago, she'd gone.
Yeah, I thought she went last time.
I mean, yeah, pleasant people in highways. Well, actually, that's not true. There are some very pleasant people in highways, but they are more difficult to deal with. So we have to leave this with you, I guess.
Yeah. Number 1, there's the problem that the Abbey Road, again, that the verge isn't being cut. It's quite dangerous. You literally have to edge out to see what Devil's Ditch.
No, no.
Yardley Road. So as you, if you turn left, past the direction.
Yeah, we were
That's
supposed to.
the cut, right? That's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say we were contributing to some cutting.
So,
I'll speak to
yeah,
it.
I think it's quite high now.
Yeah, what target this year, the grass stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to be done.
Yeah.
We play a bit of that on the YouTube then.
Well, I'm sure Tony will carry that back to Cosgrove.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they will have the same view on it.
Mhm.
I mean, I would say, you know, the substance of number one, I mean, and, you know, Jackie will raise this. I mean, a resident went down there and cut it.
I was going to do it, maybe.
And, you know, and I just don't think that's right because,
Yeah, they have,
yeah,
they've cut it back now.
but, you know, it's not right, you know, resident, members of the public going down there and doing that. It's, you know, it's only.
You're allowed to get into that state, to be honest.
It shouldn't be allowed, and I blame Milton Keynes Council. We're talking about the high grass on the verges, particularly at the Devil's Dip, where it's completely unsightly.
Oh, Devil's Dip.
To the,
You
yeah,
can't see.
yeah,
it's on the left-hand side.
yeah, to the point, Chris, where eventually some residents got very frustrated and just went down and cut it themselves.
So, sorry,
They
I thought
probably
it
shouldn't
shouldn't
have
have
done.
the right.
No,
I brought that in because
No,
that
number
was
one is
number
Devil's
one.
Dip.
Oh, number one's Devil's Dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can actually.
It was just K digressing.
Just for you to.
Yeah, anyway.
Turn right. You can actually see what's coming.
Well,
But if you're sitting in traffic,
If you're sitting in traffic.
so yeah, no.
Okay. That's it. Let's move on then. Anything else on the council report? Board councillors report. Apart from congratulations.
Yeah.
Quite an astounding margin, actually.
Yes.
There we go.
I wasn't expecting it to be, to go up by that margin, basically.
Yeah, very good, very good. I know you worked hard actually.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can report on? No.
There's nothing really to mention aside from the current ward boundary reviews that are going on. There's an online consultation happening at the moment. I believe the local government boundary commission has stated that Milton Keynes Council is going to increase roughly 60 councillors, so that would be equivalent to one new ward of Milton Keynes. Apparently just consulting to find out general views about the current boundary proposals before they provide something a bit more concrete in about, I think it's July, August time.
Yeah.
July.
At the last meeting, Liam said that one possibility was that they might try and make Newport Pagnell a
Yes.
single ward, which would then have knock-on effects to us. I mean, obviously Hounslow has had a lot more houses there. But whether that's enough to compensate for the north part of Newport Pagnell or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a non matter, it's with the local government boundaries commission. Okay, anything else in Chris?
No.
No, sorry, Dan.
So can I ask a question, Chris?
Yeah, that's fine.
You may not be able to answer this actually, but are we any closer to knowing what 3 sites are being proposed in developments in Castlethorpe?
I don't know
Yeah, I
yet,
didn't know.
unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, as you know, Richard Pryor was with a little bit of help from me, did put in the freedom of information request, but that's not come back yet.
No.
It should be nearing the deadline now, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but probably not much before they put the draft out for consultation
That's
anyway. And the whole point was to
That's
give us a chance
Yeah.
to discuss it with them before it went out for consultation. Okay. Next one is Clubhouse report. Where's the Clubhouse report now? So I put a couple of pictures in for you, which I thought you might appreciate.
Looks lovely.
It is, you know, very good.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can just have another go at sharing this, because the reason it's not sharing, I'll tell you what, I go to here first of all, put the Clubhouse report on, and now I go back and try and share. There we go.
It's showing.
Yeah, so people can see that and everyone can see it. So the first cricket match was held in May. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
It's clear enough, isn't it? The team were very pleased. I mean, David Spinelli said, you know, it was a bit of a wow factor when they went into the changing rooms. And they are very, very nice. The extension, and actually that's just done now. The pavilion side is just finished. The extension part, the new clubhouse, is progressing well. You can see from the pictures there that the internal walls, the ceiling, the insulation, the plumbing, what they call first fix electrics, have all been done. The plaster started this morning, so it's now being plastered. They've allowed a week to plaster it. I mean, there's plasterboard up, so they just so they're allowing about a week for plastering, then about a week for drying, and then they can get on with painting. And once they've done that, which is complete decoration now, they'll do the second fix electrics to finish that off and put down the kitchen and servery floors, but not the social area flooring. That's something we're going to consider later on. They've also have started building the front and rear ramps to get into the because of the way the ground dropped away, and so that's getting on well as well. We hope that they'll hand over the building to us in early July. Their date at the moment is the 16th, actually, which I suppose is not quite early. It's mid-July. They may be that, at which point well, I say CCS, community space volunteers, but actually it will be Ian Horn and probably Lawrence Chapman will go in and will fix the kitchen equipment that we've already bought for the cricket tees, and probably by then we'll have some more equipment to go in, but I'll come on to that later in the meeting. We got a small grant, £5,000 from the Community Foundation, as you know, but we need to raise about another 20,000. We have got an application for 20,000 into the National Lottery, which would do it, and we're also going to, and that was thanks to an organisation called the Plunkett Organisation, who were under another name, the people that helped us with the village shop all those years ago. And their consultants, I thought, were very good. Yeah, very good. And basically they did it for free for us. Unfortunately, we have been notified that due to the general election, the community ownership grant application, which is 10 grand, has been put on hold for the new government to consider. And we've also been told we were unsuccessful with the Shared Prosperity Fund for £5,000, which was through Milton Keynes Council. Now, in fairness, that was primarily aimed at deprived areas in Milton Keynes, and I guess they felt we weren't that. A fast broadband link has been ordered from GigaClear. They didn't turn up today. So I see wry smiles from those of you who've got GigaClear connections. So tomorrow I have to chase up to find out what happened. I chased twice today and was told they're working until 6 o'clock. So anyway, there we go. I do want to just constantly stress this. Although we can make the building available for cricket tees using their existing furniture, it really won't be ready for general use until we can get some grants to fit it out. In fact, you'll see in my next report, I say, you know, it's actually not going to be the same standard as here. You know, it's going to have fewer tables, some chairs, and that's it. You know, it's not got the kitchen fit out and all the tables and all the chairs that we've got here. So, you know, the message is we'll have to use the village hall until we can get those funds raised. So that's the clubhouse. And you can see there pictures of the going from the bar area. You can just see the front of the counter. The skeleton counter has been put in place, which just holds the plumbing. You can see that at the top of the left-hand picture, running through to the front lobby. And you can see running the length of it, what the main social area will look like. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Stop that share then. Public art, if we go on to that one, who's that? We've had two meetings. The first one, which I reported on last month, was attended by the Milton Keynes Public Art Officer. And we had a second meeting on the 20th of May. And the residents who came to that, who all have got some, I'd say, artistic expertise to bring to the meeting. So Jackie and I were the outliers in that meeting. There were really 5 possible projects. One is a new village sign, and I know, Dave, you're going to be talking to Lawrence when he gets the moment between Clubhouse and duck race and everything else that Lawrence does for the village. But this one, that's
Just to know, the village sign currently in the storeroom back there now.
is it what the lot?
So presumably Lawrence would be helping me to do the beacon up. And I'll go to have a look at that soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's had it,
Yeah.
but we'll see what Lawrence.
We can see what the view is. The clubhouse itself, the suggestion was that we did something in the garden area next to it, and it was a public art, almost by way of artistic furniture. Now, 2 residents have taken that away that's Carrie Grayson and Matt Parry, to see if they can work up some a proposal for that, and they'll bring that to the next meeting, which is the end of June. The village shop was felt it wasn't really a good place for public art, given that all the goods and so on that undoubtedly would be displayed outside of it, and really sort of more traditional village shop sign would be the best use there. A very interesting one was to put something into the bus shelters, a mosaic or tiles or something on the back walls of it. And in fact, Graham Flagg, who's brought that idea forward, has invited a lady from a company called Honey Mosaics to come along, and she's given us some ideas. But I've got to tell you, mosaics are very expensive, it turns out, and that may or may not be viable to do that. But I was very taken by the idea of doing something in the bus shelters. That's very visible to everyone. It's very public, and you know, it just made them a bit more interesting. Anyway, there we are. And similarly on the village green across the way here, there was a suggestion of perhaps doing a mural or something on the brick wall at the back of the green. That does belong to Milton Keynes Housing, but anyway, I think we're just going to mill these ideas around and then they'll come forward. Any comments?
Are we still looking for more ideas or not?
You can come forward with more ideas. Yeah.
So such things like usable art that, like, for instance, in the clubhouse garden, that could be climbed on, or do you know what I mean? But like,
I'm not quite sure what they're thinking of there. It might involve that. I mean, of course, the monkey climbing frame is intended to go there anyway if we're successful with that. But there we go. I mean, if you've got ideas, you know, do come. I can't remember the date of it.
28.
28.
I've got time, yeah.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock, isn't it? It's got to be 5 o'clock. It's
Well, they haven't come back yet. He said whether they can make it.
Yes.
7 o'clock, so
all right.
it is.
Okay. Right, so that's that. Anything else on reports? Yeah. Let's move on to the planning applications then. The first one is the Coach House 4 Lodge Farm Court. This is a listed building consent. They want to replace what is quite well, from the drawings, an attractive arched window with a more open plan one, but But just in building consents, I mean, I
Yeah,
almost feel this is down to conservation.
I mean, I assume they've got development rights because it doesn't exceed the size.
Yeah,
And so they don't need a planning application, but only need a listed building consent.
does anyone have any views on this?
No.
No.
No, okay, no objection. And Lodge Farm Business Centre, the construction of a new industrial building. I've only seen one objection, which is from one of the residents at the top, which is really about traffic. But I mean, I'm not, you know, I understand that they drive past the house, and the more the site is developed, the more traffic there'll be, but I'm not sure what you can do about that really, except not
The
develop.
actual building itself looks like the evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to, any comments?
No.
No objection then. Right, we'll treat section 6 on block, which is report back on previous planning applications. Does anyone want to raise any of those for comment?
I'm just wondering why in 6.2, I know this is South Northants, West Northants, but why did they refuse the EV charging? Does anybody know?
There wasn't enough, I believe. They wanted one per caravan and they'd only put in one for so many. I think that's what it was.
All right. In that case, we'll move on to resolutions. Dave, you're looking at slums there.
No, fine.
No, you're fine, okay.
That's just me looking at it enigmatic. Get ready for the photographer.
I'm gonna have to buy a wig then.
Yeah.
Right.
So am I.
7.1 is to have a public excluded part 2 of the meeting, so I'll propose it. All in favour. 7.2 is the adoption of financial regulations. Jackie brought this round to me, and I may have not got it quite right, but as I started going through it, there were so many changes and so many things that were just too much for us, you know. And at the end of the day, I looked at it and said, you know, do we really have to adopt it? It doesn't really seem to add anything to what we've currently got. Jackie's put a query into BALC, and when we get that back, we'll bring it forward.
Do they not still mark it mandatory optional?
Well, they've got some in bold.
I mean, they used to colour code it so that one colour was mandatory, you had to have it in there, and the others were optional depending on your patch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, here's one. Before setting a precept, the council must calculate its requirement for each financial year by preparing and approving a budget in accordance with the Local Government Finance Act or succeeding legislation. What does that add to the state of the world?
Exactly what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what we do in our existing financial regulations, you know. And then it says, you know, for a contract for the supply of goods where the estimated value will exceed the thresholds set by Parliament, the full requirements of the Public Contracts Regulations 2015 or any superseding legislation must be followed. Well, yes, it must, because it's the law.
Yeah.
You know, and we did with Clubhouse. That's exactly what we did. You know, so why do you put in something that's the law that we have to do anyway?
And to reference acts rather than details kind of leaves them open to, or any subsequent legislation.
Anyway, the point really is that there are several hours' work involved in ploughing through this to get it correct. And I personally, at this time, do not have the willpower or the available time to do that. So, but if they tell us we've got to do it by law, then we'll have to put the time in. But
I think they should tell us specifically which parts.
no, they do. They do mark stuff in bold, but those were bits that I read you that were in bold.
They
were things that we had to adopt those two things.
There's pages of it, there's 18 pages.
It's 18 pages. as opposed to we've got to think about page or something, haven't we?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's right, we've got constraints, but
yeah. Anyway, I mean, to have have a financial policy that you obey the law does seem to me to be
Good idea.
unnecessary. Right, so we'll put it away. Right, 7.3, Russell.
Yeah, in March and June 2023, we wrote to the chief executive of Network Rail, because that's the only way with Network Rail that you get anything done, complaining about the noise and rubbish that lights, headlight blaring into that were going on from contractors and workers working on the West Coast Main Line. And he passed the word down to the local area here, and for a while things have improved. But they've now got worse than they ever were. And it culminated over the bank holiday weekend. We had 3 days in shifts of them coming with their engines running, the lights on at night, and loads of rubbish scattered over the set days at the village green.
There was a train descending on all night, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
And there were loads of vans as well,
Yeah.
parked all over the place.
Yeah, yes.
There were cigarette butts and litter all over South Street, the junction, and even in front of the Westgate village sign.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take photographs of all the litter and mess, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, I suggest that we write again to Mr. Haynes, Andrew Haynes, Chief Executive at 1 Eversholt Street, London, NW12DM. If anybody wants to know who he is.
Yeah. Are you up to drafting the?
I have drafted one it's in the folder.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Are we, anyone else wish to speak on this?
Spot on.
Yeah. Okay, so votes right, yeah?
yeah.
Russell, that's what we'll do. Very good. Right, the internal audit report, which we come on to later, does say we ought to have a financial strategy. So I basically, I mean, it's really intended, I think, where council's got a lot of money to invest. I mean, we're not really in that happy position. So,
I think Jane does actually say that it's over 100,000, which we used to have.
well, we did. But that was for
the sports ground.
It was a sports grounds on the street.
But it was still lodge roads.
Yeah. So you can see, I mean, I've just listed the accounts and I've basically said, you know, the place where we'll put our surplus money is the CCLA deposit account. And I've just said, you know, our treasurer's account should just hold enough money for the immediate demand. The business interest account, so let me just tell that, the instant access account will hold sufficient funds for the current fiscal year, so up to the following March, so we've got enough money to go through there. But of course, we don't get the precept until October, or the second part of the precept. So that's basically our working capital in those two accounts, immediate and longer term. Bank of Ireland will close. Jackie started the process now. We believe that Milton Keynes are now going to use the Lloyd's Business Instant account to put our precept in and other payments. But we'll believe that. I've suggested that we leave that for a year to run it right round, because what I don't want is for them to stick the precept into an account we can't get hold of or something.
But there'll be other bits of money filtering, like the CLF grant.
Yeah,
things like
yeah. So we need to make, I think a year would be,
Yeah.
You know, just to see everything work through. Then we've got the deposit account, and basically, you know, we hope to keep about 20k in there by the end of the year. That's what we previously resolved when we talked about funding a clubhouse. Actually, for all sorts of reasons, that position has improved quite a bit. But as you'll see when I come on to talk, we need to get through to August before we'll have a very good view of what's going to happen at the end of the year. And the PW well, the property bond, obviously, we're going to get the proceeds of that in August. And the PWLB loan, we can bring that, draw that down in tranches. And incidentally, the interest rate is that prevailing at the time we draw down the tranche. So we will actually have, we'll save some money as we go forward, as they say, interest rates are going to come down. But it really does depend, as you'll see later, on how we do with these grant applications. We may not need it all. So, you know, the last thing that we'll do is draw down the PWLB loan, even if it means that we have to run the CCLA deposit account to the bone, because obviously the PWLB is a charge on the parish for the next 20 years. Whereas, you know, the other one is a more transitory bit of money. So anyway, I just thought that would be a reasonable start to show to the internal auditor. That's okay with it.
I looked earlier and I couldn't think of anything to change it. Looks very big.
Okay. All happy with that? Yeah. Self-imposed and be happy.
Will that go on the website? Does that need, like, with the standing orders and that's the page as a policy?
I think actually it's policy, probably ought to go with our policy. Yeah, I think, that'd be a good idea if you could do that, please. Right. Now the next one is a little bit more complicated, as these things are, but I thought it'd be very good for the parish council to sort of see the clubhouse through to the end, as it were, the end of the project. So let me just share this, and I'll talk you through it. So the current funding situation is covered in this first section, which just describes the base contract and the add-ons that we've already approved. Yeah. And that means that we have committed £284,000. And the second part then is how we would fund that using the S106. Do come up closer, and I'm sure Steve will share the screen if you guys want to look at that. And that's been funded by S106, the sports ground bond, 30k from our reserves. And so far we're using 1.4k of the Milton Keynes Community Fund grant, which specifically said they could fund these Ventaxias. And we would need to use 22.2k out of the 50k PWLB loan. So that leaves, in theory, 31.4 available for the further work in the clubhouse. Just to let you know that we've now agreed a payment schedule with Hickford's of 20k this month, which is on the payment schedule, 20k in July, and then the final balance is about 17.5k in August. It might be a little bit more than that because there are one or two little extras that we are looking for, like putting some speakers into the ceiling, for example. But broadly, that's the thing. Now, the parish council cash position is tight but manageable in June. I think we're going to have about 5k or so balance at the end of this month. July is very, very difficult to forecast, mainly because we still don't know about the streetlights invoice, and which is 67,000, so it's a lot. And when I do these forecasts, I always assume the worst case, which is that we're going to have to pay it next month. And the next month just keeps going back a month at a time. In fact, we will dispute it anyway, because probably about 10k's worth of that, I definitely think we shouldn't be paying. And to balance that invoice, to pay that invoice, we'd have to drawdown both on the deposit account and the PWLB loan. Those I've already said will use the loan last. Hickfords have also agreed to defer the July payment to them if necessary, if our cash flow is adverse. So they're being, remember, we didn't make an advance payment to them earlier in the year at 80,000. Do you remember that we paid earlier, which allowed us to manage it with the VAT and so on that was going through. And they're returning that effectively by agreeing that we can defer that if we need to into the rest of it. Once we've got the proceeds of the CCLA bond in August, basically our cash position is going to be okay for the rest of the year. That's why I say, we just got to get to August really. The other point that was raised in the internal audit, which we'll come to, is about VAT liabilities. And legal advice is being taken on that. Basically, and I'm afraid it was Steve, Jackie, and me. Really felt that where you got a recommendation from the internal auditor, you just can't ignore it. Now, we did look at the HMRC advice note at the beginning of this to make sure, and it looked to us very clear cut that there was no VAT liability. But we've been, advised to get advice, and we've got no choice but to do that. And that could have some implications later on. Looking on at further funding, I've itemised where we are on these. The Milton Keynes Foundation grant, the Community Foundation grant, can only be used for the Ventaxias and some kitchen equipment that's been listed in their award document. We've applied for 20k to the National Lottery, and you can see the categories that we've got there, though. There's flexibility apparently as to moving money between those. We had 2 other grant applications, but one we were unsuccessful with and the other's been deferred, so we won't count on those. We had put the BIFFA application on hold, but we now propose to reactivate that for 20k. And you'll see that in the next resolution. So this is really as a preamble to that. If we did get that, as well as the National Lottery, it would have the effect of us not having to draw down an equivalent amount of the PWLB loan. So it would help us there. Okay, moving on to what I'm now calling phase 1A, which is before we get the money from the grants. So the next steps are to decorate the social area and put down the flooring. And I've already mentioned Hickfords have now agreed to do the decoration as a donation. And we're going to consider the flooring in part 2. I've shown you there, by the way, the front of the skeleton of the front counter in the clubhouse. And you can see that it's just open at the front. It's basically supporting the plumbing that's running up inside it. So one thing that we could do would be to put a front and a top on that, which probably wouldn't be too much money. That would make the place a little bit more usable. I mean, not totally usable, but you could use it. I don't know, certainly for cricket tees, they'd have somewhere to put their trays on as they brought them out of the kitchen, that sort of thing.
If it's hollow, can you use some of it for storage?
No, the storage will be behind it. Yeah, the way Lawrence has designed it, the storage units will go on behind. But that's money, and we don't have that ready to put the counter system in yet. And we can also, if you remember, I said that we've got to use the Milton Keynes Community Foundation money for kitchen equipment, and there's 3.5k left of that. So basically, I'll probably go to Lawrence and say, which of the list of approved equipment would you like us to buy? And I'll bring that to the 1st of July meeting for us to approve. Okay? So that'll be phase 1A. Hickfords are saying they'll handle, as I've said already, the clubhouse over on the 16th of July. We'll try and get everything in place between then and the 27th of July, which is the first cricket match after the 16th, if you follow that. So, and in that period, we will get all the kitchen equipment in, the flooring done, and the place should be ready for use. Phase 2 is to fit out the kitchen fully and to furnish the social area, put some tables and chairs in. And that's where we need the extra 20k from National Lottery or someone. If we're not successful, we'll have to revisit the specification or review our own finances, because as I say, they do appear to have improved since we did the first allocation, whenever it was, a year ago, I suppose. Phase 2A, I've called it, is the extended cafe, which is for things like fried foods and so on, which is about another 8 to 10k's worth of kit that's got to go in. And then phase 3, I've christened it, is about running the clubhouse. And there are two options. One is that the community space company runs it directly. And the other is that it's subleased in the same way that the shop is subleased to the Indina and via CVSA. So, and the CCS board is considering those options, which it wants to do. And actually the VAT matter that I mentioned earlier may impact that choice. So I hope that gives you a kind of complete run through from where we are now through to, you know, the end of this project, because it is a very big, very complex project. It's not just, you know, putting up an extension. Darren.
Have you discussed about the village run? Or is that a not starter?
Well, we have discussed that, and we did have a call with another Plunkett consultant who was a business analyst, really. And the example that he was pressing us to was a run it yourself with a paid manager, but mixing in volunteers.
Yeah.
And that might work. The problem that you've really got is that if you're going to offer a committed level of service, like we are going to open, say, the cafe from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something like that, Monday to Friday, it's going to be open on Saturdays, open on Sundays when there's a match playing, and you're going to open a bar on Thursday evenings, Friday evenings, Saturday and Sunday when there's a match, you know? You have to have the staff.
Yeah.
And you can't have people saying, I'd love to help, but I'm on holiday, or, you know, so I think it's more a matter of, rather than depending on that, having a model in which you could do that if people are prepared to volunteer at a time, but otherwise you've got a paid alternative that would go in.
What have you found in other places?
Well, it's we haven't found a fixed model yet. We have found places like the Mushroom Bar, which is a beautiful little bar. I can't remember the name of the village. I did report on it sometime ago. One of the clay. Yeah, and it really is. It's an absolutely lovely bar. It's basically run by 6 to 8 people who are just committed to it. And it does also have the advantage of being attached to the village hall, so that when the village hall is being used, they just come in there to provide that customer. But I can tell you that having volunteers makes a huge difference to the finances for obvious reasons. The cricket club that we went down to, is that Wickham? There's Wickham. They also use volunteers, and that works very well. But then others that we have been to, there's a kind of clubhouse that Lawrence went to. Again, I'm sorry, this is a while ago, I can't remember the names of them all, but that was a purely paid service. And by the way, although we haven't been there, we know that Hounslow Club is also paid.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are different models. Just to try and encapsulate what was a very long discussion at the first board meeting of the ECSL. If you try and run it yourself, you have got to take on all the overhead of running a company.
Yeah.
So you've got to, you've got to employ people, you've got to, worry about sick leave and setting up pension funds. You've got all of the health and safety things you've got to worry about. You've got to go and get all the licenses for liquor.
But that's only if you're paying people though, isn't it?
Sorry?
Is that only if you're paying people?
No, you've got to do that
Even voluntary.
even if it's purely voluntary. But it will never work as a purely voluntary.
No, I mean, the expert, that was the model that he did advise us against pure voluntary.
Yeah. So you've got all of that overhead, but it would give you much more control over the offering that's going to be made. Or you can go to the sublease, which is the kind of what I would call the Udine model, though that's not a great comparison in the sense that Udine are quite exceptional. And the consultant said that most of the subleasees that he deals with aren't as good as that.
Yeah.
So you've got that, but that's cleaner. It would allow you just sign a sublease, and all those responsibilities that I listed are then the responsibility of the lessor. But then, of course, he's got to take money to pay for doing those things.
Well, they could run both.
Sorry?
The Udine can run both. Their sons spend enough time up there, they get to see them. Exactly, their kids live up there, so
So sure.
Yeah. Yeah, all the fresh veg outside.
Approaching a local cafe or something.
Sorry?
It's about approaching a local cafe.
Well, there's all those things that we can.
I mean, really, the VAT position is kind of key. We've got to get that. So
Yeah.
It's quite worrying, isn't it?
well,
It would be worrying. I mean, I have to say, we did genuinely, this was raised, and we looked at this VAT advice, and it was, frankly, to me as a layman, crystal clear. I mean, and it seemed to be aimed mainly at local councils who are not VAT registered. A lot of them aren't, and it was for those councils how there were some special exemptions to allow them to claim VAT back, dependent on the use that they made of the hall. But we aren't VAT registered, I mean, it's, anyway, there we go. So that's just what I wanted to say on that, and just to really keep everyone up to date. So that does, unless anyone's got anything else that they want to raise on that does go quite neatly into the BIFFA bid, which is the consultant who put in the national lottery application. And did I say that result is going to be by the 15th of August? And he says it's normally comes through earlier than that's the timetable that National Lottery say. But he said it's normally a bit earlier. But anyway, he wrote the email in response to this inquiry from me. And basically, BIFFA is a two-stage process, an expression of interest followed by a full application. And I mean, Steve Russell and me, we're absolutely stretched on all of this stuff. It's really hard just to sort of try and get all these documents produced, particularly at this time when you can see the other things that are going on getting the clubhouse itself ready. And so I think we all recommend that we employ this consultant.
I would say, having done a lot of the work on the expression of interest until it was halted, it's quite complex, and I would wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, with consultant.
I think it's very vague. I mean, I think what it's doing for, well, I guess we're voting on the first expression of interest, engagement, and not the £350 a day engagement at the moment. Just see how the expression of interest goes.
Well. I think we're certainly going for the expression of interest,
Yeah.
but if you notice in his email, he says, they've indicated you will find out within 1 week whether you are being invited for full applications.
1 week.
So, and I'm pretty certain, given that he had funding for 1 day to put in the national lottery, and given that the material is probably very similar, I would think that the 350, you know, 1 day is going to be a total cost of £500.
I think the grant, the full application, they require a lot of paperwork to be attached.
They may
there's
do,
going to be
yeah.
a lot of work tied up in actually providing that, I think.
Yeah, there may be, and I did notice that, looking very briefly at the BIFFA checklist, that there are things that we may have to do. Incidentally, this will probably be a CCS-CIC application, not a CPC one. But
Yeah.
obviously CCS your money, so parish council has to fund it. But yeah,
I can't remember if they're both eligible for BIFFA or if either of them aren't.
both of them are. Both of them are. But I think BIFFA would favour the community infrastructure. Community interest.
So we do have a copy of the church's application,
Yeah,
and it's very, very complex.
yeah,
And to me, the expression of interest is no brainer.
yeah.
What is actually quoting for that against what it's actually delivering is massive value for money.
Well, look, I propose that we instruct them to go ahead with the 150. That we allow Jackie basically to approve the 350 for a day's work if we get a positive response to that, and basically see how it goes. And if it becomes more than that, then I think Jackie, I think will just, I can't believe it will be more than the second day. Jackie will just email us round just to make sure there is support for a further 350. But I'm hoping it will just be that first 350's worth.
Okay, so we're proposing that up to a maximum of 2 days insolvency.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I'm really saying 500, and then we see how it goes.
Okay.
It's 150 unless we don't get a positive response.
So 150.
Yes.
Then it's 350, and then it's a matter of seeing what Marvin Simon said.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah. Is that, so I think this grants for 20,000.
20,000. Okay, so we probably need upstairs.
No brainer.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. So that's all our resolutions. So we now go on to the payment schedule. So we've got which the usual. Yes, Jackie did get. Oh, that's these items where it says all unit controllers. These are actually the Ventaxia, part of the Ventaxia fans that will come out of the MK CF funding. The cleaning of the village signs, which they do look good. I do wish they weren't so wonky. Chris, can we get a request in for wonky sign correction? It really is. Do you know, as I drive around, there's so many posts that are askew.
I think, does Rob not give us a report on which signs are wonky? I think he
Did it this time, no.
He did the time before that.
Yeah.
It's probably the same.
Do you want me to have a word with him? and see?
Potholes, wonky posts, potholes. wonky
Oh, I'm sure it's different budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wonky post department. And the other thing that I've noticed about a lot of signs, and I don't know if this is a vandal or not, but a lot of them have been turned round at an angle.
Wind does that if they're loose, if they come around.
We have had some strong winds.
Yeah, wind does that.
Okay. Well, I think the rest is pretty explanatory. Does anyone want to raise anything now?
We got the pads.
Yeah, they're in, they're done. All working well.
Should we thank Scott for sorting out those?
Do they need do we need to reset the
Scott,
app?
sorry.
Sorry,
The defibrillator, they've been.
there's an app that we can reset. We'll have a chat at the end of it.
These ones are valid until 2027.
So,
Should we thank Scott Pearson for sorting out those? I think he saved us a couple £100, didn't he? And he got the
yeah, you did.
mile back operational a lot quicker than it would have been.
Yeah, could do that. I mean, I have obviously thanked him.
Yeah.
I saw him
Oh.
there afterwards, but a
Good.
little letter is something.
Yeah.
Which does actually remind me, at the end of this project, we must write a thank you letter to Hickfords without doing that.
Oh, yeah.
That is seriously good of them. Right, any other queries on this?
Yeah, the EDF gas guy, the terminal's wrong.
Is it again?
That's the thing, it's much nicer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at it, this doesn't have across there, and what that is,
That's my Excel.
yeah.
Okay.
So with the correction of that,
Yeah.
are all the other numbers right, Russell, if you scan through the rest?
I did stand through the top.
Yeah, I only noticed that because I studiously switched off the heating in the village hall. And I thought £284 for a half an hour.
Yeah.
Not having any heating.
We were quite cold while you were away. Right. I'll sign the corrected version.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so we need a proposer, with Russell, seconded Dave, and all of us.
I'm crying when I look at this spreadsheet and it's just got numbers in it, no formulas. Sorry.
Right, we now need to look at the internal auditors report. Oh, sorry. Sometimes one taps on these things and they go off and do. There we go.
Can't open it.
Internal auditors report. There we go. So the overall opinion was that the systems in operation appear to be sound and adequate. A couple of minor points that are raised there. So that was all good. So well done, Jackie, and I think Steve, you were helping Jackie. Yeah, that's very good. So I think if we just go directly, and indeed the conclusion is that overall the accounts are recorded accurately, expenditure is monitored well, and authorities for expenditure complied with. Processes and systems are efficient and comply with legal requirements and policies. So it's a very good report. If we just look at the recommendations, we just have to check where sole traders are coming in, make sure that they are registered with HMRC, that financial investment should be recorded on the asset register, and I'm not quite sure that we. Is that just the deposit account balances?
It's not deposit account, it's an investment account, any kind of investment.
So the bond would have been one of
The
the
bond would have been,
yeah.
and that, I should have done something on that, because it was actually brought up, last audit I did.
Right, okay.
And it's set free. So-
Right, okay.
So that one's done.
Well,
But it's any kind of investment that we make. James says that it should be actually included on the asset.
right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But we probably won't have any after August.
No.
Yeah. An investment strategy should be devised, which is what we discussed earlier. Financial information should be recorded separately from the meeting minutes to aid clarity. So I think that's a separate sheet rather than putting it into the body of the minutes, I guess. Probably doesn't make very much difference, does it? But
No.
you do it as an appendix or something. Any physical documents of a confidential or legal nature should be kept in the locked cabinet, which should be fireproof. Now, at the moment, there are 2 stores of documents. There is the safekeeping envelope, which is currently with Lloyds Bank. But the moment that we look at that, they return it to us because it's not a service that they do any longer. And the second is some documents that the clerk inherits and passes on from time to time, and Steve has currently still got, I think, the previous set.
I've got documents in my garage.
Yeah. Which are of historical rather than legal value, I think. Now, the parish office has been built, and I do suggest that we, at a future point, will bring forward a recommendation to get a fireproof lockable cabinet to go in there, so that when the Lloyds documents are returned to us, we'll be able to sort of just put them in there and keep them safely. And we'll have to make a judgment in looking at the documents that Steve has got as to whether they need to be in fireproof cabinets. But there's quite a high premium for being fireproof. And sadly, I did actually look at the different categories of fireproof. I think I sent it to you, didn't I? And we can probably get away with the lowest category, which is for paper. And there's higher ones for computer files and so on. But it's only paper. So that is what I will, think we ought to be recommending in the future, but I don't think it's a decision for now. Electronic documents should be password protected. I have looked at this with Jackie. I mean, there is a system called Google Vault, but you have to be on the next higher level of workplace than the one we subscribe to. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it. I think really, if the clerk has a set of documents which is obviously password protected with the clerk's password, which is never given to any of the rest of us anyway, and documents are not shared with the rest of us as some other documents.
I'm sure you can actually password protect to the top level folder. If you use a folder based, if you use a folder based system, you can just.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can do that. You can certainly do the individual documents. But anyway, I mean, the point is that it's password protected in Jackie's system, and if she has a place where those secure documents are kept in the filing system, then I think that should be adequate, and it's got 2-factor verification and all that sort of good stuff. So that should be okay. And you can password protect an individual document level if you need to as well. But honestly, I don't think that's necessary.
I mean, we don't have
we just don't have this sort of stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not even sure almost anything that we've got.
Jane said it was contracts and.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Which I probably should use that anyway for that.
And the clerk should receive some training on the use of Excel. Since
I like it.
This is what you do for a living, isn't it, Ken? Isn't this what you do for a living?
No, I teach things like emerging tech and AI and stuff like that, but I have taught Excel too.
Yeah.
It's business intelligence and.
So she hasn't got a glove.
So yeah, but I have taught it to keep those 3.
Yeah.
You just need the basics.
Yeah. Right, and those are all the recommendations. I think we're all addressing all of those.
Yeah.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we do with this? We consider it and we
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah.
Fine, way.
Very good. And then we've got the annual return. Now, unfortunately, this is one of those things that we do have to literally go through. And they can't be pre-done. So we have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and the preparation of accounting statements. Yes?
Yes.
We have maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness. So, well, we okay with that? Yeah. We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations, and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
We provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the regulations. And this is basically that we publish this in, I think it's for a month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Around about now. We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls or external insurance cover where required. So we do that through our standing order, way in which we pay and we have insurance in place. Yeah, yeah. Are we all happy with that? We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records. That's where we approve it at every meeting what we're spending, and then obviously that's checked by the internal auditor. We took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit. Well, we've just done that on the internal audit. And we will do when it goes back.
I don't think there were any from external audit.
We considered whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions have a financial impact on the authority and have included them in the accounting statements. And I think that's true, certainly for the year that we're talking about. The local councils only, trust funds including charitable, in our capacity as the sole managing trustee, this one's not applicable, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, on the other side, you had none.
Jane.
Oh, Jane, that's
That's
your.
the internal audit. That's the only one we have to.
Right. So I now need to. So I need to ask. Oh, wait a minute. We've now got.
You need to get it approved. So if you can introduce, if you can ask for approval.
Yes, no, I was just making sure. Have we all seen the accounting statements? Yeah, and we're happy with that. Yeah. Right. So, as Stevie just mentioned, we now need a formal resolution to approve the annual return, which Russell is proposing. Need a seconder, which is Darren, and all of us approving it. So I need to sign. I need to sign this in the right place. So this is the 3rd, the 6th, 2024. Right. Good.
I think we need to sign the accounting statement. So
I have it.
I've done it.
Right, correspondence. A request has been received to support the House of Lords campaign on the safety of lithium batteries used in e-bikes and scooters. Is everyone happy with that or not? Yeah.
Just right back and saying we support it.
Yeah. Yeah, minimise the effort.
Just a thumbs up emoji.
Now, we have received a further letter. It's been circulated to you about this Shepperton dog bin. I mean, I think, I mean, I do understand that the residents not, you know, happy with the location. My personal view is, you know, having looked at it and having looked at other bins, that it is in a comparable position relative to the house with other bins. Indeed, it's actually further away than several of them. The email then seems to move on to, well, it's not stopping all dog mess in the village, and some examples are given, and that sadly is the case. This isn't 100% that it will stop all dog mess, but that's not a reason.
Ignorant people letting their dogs not picking it up.
So, yeah, but that's not a reason not to have dog bin.
No.
And similarly, it talks about some of the health implications of dog mess, and implies that actually the dog bins are going to aggravate that health risk, which I think is, you know, 180 degrees wrong.
The whole point of the dog bins is to minimise that.
It's to minimise. So, I mean, I understand that, you know, the Labour doesn't want this, but I personally, you know, feel we've had 2 meetings where there's been some fairly extensive, you know, representations made in the open forum, and I just don't feel there's any further on this. Okay.
I can see the point of putting it where children play, that it encourages owners and their dogs to poo on the grass near the bin, so they take them to the grass and bit, and kids play on it, and I totally get that. That I'm just saying that actually there'll be some cases where the poo isn't picked up properly. You can't always pick the whole thing up, so I do agree with that. I do agree that there should be a bin as well, but I can see the point of not having the bin on grass where kids play.
Nearly all of the bins, you know, are by grass.
But not where children play, not in
I mean,
an
it's even-
area where it's housing, where that is,
Well-
I mean, okay, the one by Russell's, for instance, there is a big tree there. The children don't play on that grass.
But the one by Davis is kids play.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Kids do play.
Look,
You know.
if a councillor wants
Anyway,
to put
that's-
forward an alternative location, or even to remove it altogether, then we can entertain that. Either if 3 people write and ask for it, or after the 6 months are up. But other than that, you know, I really don't see we can do very much on this. I know.
Pauline's going to come to you with a proposal, isn't she?
Well, that's
Yeah.
where it is for me.
Yeah.
She's going to come with
Yeah.
whether
Yeah,
it's to be moved.
I did think that she was going to come back with a proposal about where it could be, where we could put it.
She
No,
did propose at the entrance to Shepperton.
No, but
In this
we
email.
said at the last meeting, we
Yeah.
said that,
But
that is
nobody
really
wants that, obviously.
Yeah.
and we did ask it to
Yeah.
come back with.
I mean, my take on this correspondence is that we basically wait to see where the proposal is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So let's move on from that then.
Yeah, there was one other one as well. The our PCSO has put the crime report.
Yes, Yeah, I put that up as 9.3 here. And in May, 1 dog behaving badly and 1 suspicious person. So,
And I'm one of them.
that'd be helpful.
I'm assuming that's the dog that killed the lad.
No, they don't, it's,
well,
I mean, that would be more than the dog behaved badly.
Yeah, that's appalling.
No, they don't, it is.
Criminal.
yeah, it's dreadful, but
It is.
anyway, so that's where we are on that. Any other business for noting or including on a future agenda?
Can I just ask you, the grant application, CIF grant for Milton Keynes Council for the tables at the cricket club. What's the cut-off date for that?
End of August, 31st of August.
Yeah, that's
So I
the-
was going to speak to you about that.
Yeah, okay.
If we can get together.
Yeah,
So,
and we
yeah.
put in for a bin as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we haven't got it in yet, we just.
Yeah.
have to fill in.
Okay, so that's on your agenda.
Yeah.
So
Did we all go for plastic picnic tables or wooden ones?
They are a recycled plastic.
Yeah.
That is an eco plastic or something that they're called. Yeah. They're quite heavy. I mean, I think they've got some up there at the moment, actually. Yeah.
I never thought.
Anyway, I mean, the ones that we looked at it's those basically. They were £500 each, were they, or something like that.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that. So that's the regular next meeting.
Well, it's already been
It's already
approved.
been
It's just
approved.
got to
Oh,
fill
good,
the forms.
Just need to make a form to go.
Because you said something, finding somebody at Milton Keynes Council.
Yeah, you
sponsor it.
need someone to support it.
Yeah. Philip Snell. Get
That's
Philip.
what I was gonna.
Yeah,
say.
Phil Snell's probably
Yeah.
called him at the election recently.
Right, and next ordinary parish council meeting is 1st of July. I think that's the end of part one. Yeah. Cool. Right, I mean, while Tony went his way, I mean, this is not so secret. Right, I now need to stop the live stream for the part of the meeting. So thank you for those who come out, and don't forget the beacon at 9:15 on Thursday.
Actually, if I have a beacon. Yeah, otherwise it will